Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today for our Memorial Day services. This isn't our typical Memorial Day due to the coronavirus epidemic, so we're doing our own thing and making sure that we get this recording out for Memorial Day. Today we are honored to have our guest speaker, Sarah Smith. She's a lifelong resident of Madison County and a circuit court judge. She enlisted right out of high school as a mechanic and now is a colonel in the United States. She's involved in the Madison County Veterans Treatment Court, Illinois State Bar Association Military Affairs Committee, and if there are any other veterans out there that need legal aids, all they should do is contact us and they will put you in touch with attorneys that can help. Thank you very much. Sarah?
Thank you. Thank you so much for having me here today. It is truly an honor. First and foremost, I want to take a moment and acknowledge and pay my personal respect and gratitude to anyone who has lost a loved one in the line of duty. It does not matter how much time has passed, no words of condolence can even begin to adequately console a survivor's grief. For those of you who are out there who are survivors, my heart and utmost respect goes out to you and to your family. Whether they are heroes who died in combat or patriots who have served and since passed away, we remember. I stand here today to pay tribute to the nation's finest and the bravest. And while I'm here in uniform, I am not here as a colonel or as a judge. I am simply here as a grateful American. Second, I want to extend my gratitude to those veterans standing behind me and here with me today, and those who are also behind the scenes from this wonderful Highland community. While we are going through unique and uncertain times, they were adamant that Memorial Day was a day that we could not forget to celebrate. That today is a day we will always do something to pay our respects. Because no matter what that something is, and no matter how many hoops they had to jump through to make it happen, it pales in comparison to the ultimate sacrifice given by those we honor today. During my deployment to Afghanistan, we lost 36 brave souls during what has been called the bloodiest year of the war. One of them, my friend, Sergeant Simone Robinson, who was injured when a vehicle-borne improvised explosive device blew off. She was burned over 80% of her body and fought hard to keep living for 3 months until she finally succumbed to her injuries, leaving a small daughter behind. Every Memorial Day since I've returned, I struggle to balance my grief over the lives we've lost with my desire to honor the lives that they lived, to show my gratitude in not just word, but also in deed. It wasn't until a couple years ago did I come to the realization of what I needed to do to pay honor to not only just those 36 souls that we lost in Afghanistan, but to the 1 million service members who have died in combat. The 1 million patriots who believed in something bigger than themselves. I would choose to honor them by living well, by living the life that they would have lived if they still had a chance. So before I leave you today, I want you to think about one thing. Today in cities across America, there will be flags flying in yards, flying on roadways, banners hung on main streets. There will be visits to cemeteries honoring the fallen. There will be patriotic memes and expressions of gratitude posted all over social media. And all of that and more is what our fallen soldiers deserve. But I want you to ask and think to yourself about one thing as you pay your respects, in whatever manner you do it. Are you doing this only for those heroes who have spilled blood to support your personal beliefs? Take a minute to think about that. Because of course you aren't. You are honoring the fallen, no matter what their political affiliation or their personal beliefs. Why? Because they are heroes. Because they are Americans. And because they did not sign up to serve, to spend days and years away from their families and friends, to spend cold, countless nights alone and afraid in a foreign country. They did not spill their last drop of blood and breathe their last breath of air for only those who believed the exact same things that they believed. They risked it all. They gave it all. For all. Because we are Americans, citizens of the greatest country in the world. And in these tough and divisive times, now more than ever, we need to remember that. We need to focus on all of the things we have in common. The simple things, like where we come from, the high school team that we cheer on those chilly Friday fall evenings, and the numerous local community organizations that we support, and most importantly, the common love and dedication we have for our community and this country. So I pray this Memorial Day will be a reminder for you to look for the good in people. Remember that before they are Republican or Democrat, that they are Americans. Focus on the common ground and choose compassion over comparison, because that is what our fallen heroes and our fallen patriots would want you to do. I want to thank you for taking time out of your busy lives to show your gratitude and your respect for those who have paid the ultimate price. May God bless and keep our fallen, our patriots, our veterans, and our active military. And may God bless the United States of America.
Today, we are assembled to participate in a Memorial Day service. With the COVID virus going around, we have to make sure that we keep our distance and everything else. And number one, this is a day that we want to remember our fallen veterans and all of our loved ones that have passed, and especially since the last Memorial Day. This is something that we normally do inside and on Memorial Day, but due to the virus, we are told that we can't do this, so we are doing it in this assembly instead. And with no further ado, I'm going to introduce Jennifer Ostrander, who's going to do a small speech on Memorial Day. Thank you.
Thank you for participating and observing the Memorial Day holiday with us. My name is Jennifer Ostrander, and I am a retired military veteran of 22 years. My husband Frank served 28 years, and my son Bobby is currently serving in the Marine Corps. We have a storied history and a great appreciation for those who have gone before us, specifically those of the greatest generation. My two grandfathers were in World War II, Archie Welch, who was at Pearl Harbor at the time of the bombing, and Dana McClellan, who was at Tarawa. My father-in-law, Robert H. Ostrander, was a B-17 tail gunner and a prisoner of war in Stalag 17 for 15 months. These are just a few examples of the heroic men and women who have served selflessly for generation upon generation, some giving the ultimate sacrifice, fighting for our freedom and our American way of life. It is unfortunate to see how the times have changed and our traditions are slowly eroding away to the point that standing for the national anthem or saying the Pledge of Allegiance is somehow controversial issue. Anyone who has ever been handed a folded flag after it was draped over a casket knows the price of freedom, and it is truly not free, but comes at a cost. Over time, the reasons we observe Memorial Day has slowly been lost, and some just know it as a 3-day weekend full of barbecues and get-togethers. In the past, it has taken wars, a terrorist act on our own American soil, or most recently, a virus that can bring us back to our roots and remind us of everything we are thankful for and the freedoms we may have taken for granted in the past. 2020 will be a year to remember, with many reminders of the tumultuous, divisive, and challenging time we experienced throughout the country. One of the unfortunate aspects of quarantine, social distancing, and sheltering in place is that we weren't able to properly honor our veterans and those who have gone before us. With our traditional patriotic parades, Memorial Day services, ceremonies, and lining veteran cemeteries with symbolic American flags. It is my hope that we look at this as an opportunity to remind our families and friends of what we should all be thankful for, our liberty and freedoms that we enjoyed as guaranteed by the Constitution of the United States and the Bill of Rights. Our First Amendment rights of free speech, freedom of assembly, freedom of religious expression, and the right to bear arms are just a few examples of rights we are guaranteed that many have fought for and died for. These freedoms that we enjoy today are a result of every military man and woman who raised their right hand and swore to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. It is our duty to make sure their sacrifices were not made in vain, and we should never take these rights for granted. As President Ronald Reagan so eloquently said, freedom is never more than one generation away from extinction. We didn't pass it to our children in the bloodstream. It must be fought for, protected, and handed on to them to do the same. Or one day, we will spend our sunset years telling our children and our children's children what it was once like in the United States where we were free. May God bless our Gold Star families and know that our hearts and prayers are with them on this Memorial Day. And may God continue to bless this great nation we call the United States of America.
Honor guard, hands up! Present, arms! Hey! Fire! Hey! Fire! Hey! Fire! Present, arms! We're assembled here today to recognize Memorial Day. Not our traditional Memorial Day, but one that we have to do this year because of the COVID distractions and everything else. So we are making this video to present, to allow everybody to acknowledge Memorial Day on Memorial Day. And without further ado, we're going to turn it over to our color guard and our riflemen. And thank you very much, gentlemen and ladies, for coming today. Thank you.
Color guard, a tent.
Color guard, hands up.
Who's ready? Aim. Fire. Aim. Fire. Aim. Fire. Present. Home.
today to recognize Memorial Day. Not our traditional Memorial Day, but one that we are doing in honor of our veterans. Today we are gathered to celebrate Memorial Day. Not the traditional Memorial Day that we always do, but because of the coronavirus pandemic, we have to celebrate our own way. And this is our way to honor our fallen veterans, and especially a lot of our fallen veterans that have passed since the last Memorial Day, which every year we read off the names and honor those veterans, as well as all of the other veterans that we lost in other wars. And without further ado, we're going to go ahead and do our ceremonies. Color guard, attention! Present arms!
Aim. Fire. Aim. Fire. Aim. Fire. Raise hand. Home.
today to commemorate Memorial Day. Not our traditional Memorial Day, but because of the coronavirus pandemic, we are having to celebrate this way. This is our way of honoring our veterans, both present and past, so that we can say that Memorial Day is a tribute to our veterans. Without further ado, we'll get started with our ceremony. Thank you. Color guard, attention! Present arms!
that. Hard.
Together today for our Memorial Day service, not our traditional Memorial Day service because of the coronavirus pandemic, but it's our way to honor our veterans, both past and present, especially the ones that we have had in our midst that have helped with all of our veterans projects over the years. Without further ado, I'd like to get started with the ceremony. Thank you. Color guard, attention!
Guard.
Present! Firm!
You ready? Aim! Fire! Aim! Fire! Aim! Fire! Freeze there! Home!